let's talk about basketball. I mean, we already talked about it a little bit earlier, the doom and gloom. You had the upsetting loss to Georgia on the road. Not necessarily a bad loss. It's still a quad one game. It's not going to hurt you on the resume. But when we're competing for that number one seed, it's not an uphill battle. It's not a win and in situation now. It might be a win and in situation, but we might need some things to go our way. We don't really know what the committee is thinking. We don't know if they have Tennessee, Alabama above us. We don't know if the win against Bama will put us there. But what we do know is we had an impressive win on Saturday night by 19 points against Texas A&M. I'll let you break it down a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, I think coming off what was just a heartbreaking loss to Georgia, because
absolutely
I had resigned myself to a loss like 5 minutes into the game. I mean, if the other team's shooting 68%, I mean, it was pretty bad pretty early. But I'm saying when the other team's shooting 68% in the first half, like there's nothing you can do about that. Like you're not going to win that game. And so I was like, yeah, whatever. And then they, to come all the way back from down 26 and take the lead in the final minute and lose anyway was so gutting. And it had me a little worried, being this close to the end of the season, like what that was going to do to the psyche of this team. And they responded really well. I mean, came out of the gate hot, took a pretty big lead into half and expanded on it coming out of half. And then, A&M fought back and, they're a good team. I think, they made things really difficult. Florida was struggling to rebound. They ended up ahead in the rebounding count, but it was a battle against a really physical Texas A&M team for most of this game. And they, had their run, got back, cut it to 6. And it kind of had all the makings of a game that, maybe previous Florida teams would have squandered, because you had the big lead, you blew it, and then all of a sudden they're hitting everything. You're, in your own head, taking some stupid shots, and they just were able to kind of hold them at bay. Will Richard has just been on a tear these last 2 games, 30 points in the loss to Georgia, 25 last night. Honestly, it felt like he had even more than 25, because just every time Florida needed a shot in the arm, there was Will Richard to hit a 3. I mean, I think Todd even said it after the game. Like when they cut it to 6, Will Richard hit the 3 that put it back to 9 and sort of spurred the run that allowed Florida to pull away for good. I believe that was the timeline on that. So, just all in all, and by the way, to win that game when, like Walt doesn't have his best game shooting, not the most productive, finished with 18 points. So like
2 of 8 from 3.
Yeah. 2 over 3. Aberdeen didn't score. Condon was still not very good offensively. He's still kind of working his way back. Only 6 from Hauk. Chinyelu fouled out. Oh no, I'm sorry. I'm looking at the wrong.
You're looking at the Georgia game. I was about to say.
Sorry about that. Oops.
I'm like, Condon had
Clayton had 10. Yeah.
Yeah.
I was like, wait, this doesn't sound right. No. Still only 11 points from Condon, not his most incredible offensive game, but yeah, Walt wasn't great. Chinyelu didn't score a point in 7 minutes played.
I think the thing with Chinyelu is more of the fact that Micah Handlaughton was playing so good defensively in that first half that you kind of needed to put him on there when you could over Chinyelu. I think the physicality of A&M was a bit different for Chinyelu, and it was kind of getting to him. So I think it made sense to play more Micah and Condon instead of him.
And I'm glad you brought up Micah, because it really seems like Micah's settling in nicely.
We
kind of talked about it. Was a little bit awkward his first game back, sort of looked, a little bit, maybe a little bit unconditioned, was just kind of still trying to get caught up to the speed. I mean, he's still not doing a ton offensively, but 8 rebounds in this game. And I mean, his size, Florida has really just been missing that size and wingspan. It makes such a difference when you see the balls he's going up to get. Just even, as good of a rebounding team as this is, their rebounds that Florida probably wouldn't have gotten without Micah.
Well, he's not doing much scoring offensively. I mean, he got 4 offensive rebounds, which I know 2 of them were on the same drive where he got 2.
Yeah.
And then I think another one, he had a pass back 3 to Will Richard, or a drive to end up being linked to a 3 for Will Richard. So that's like another 5, maybe even more points. I don't know where the other offensive rebound came. So, I mean, that's 2 points for him. But, I mean, if he's taking a couple shots, I mean, that's possibly 6, which still is not the greatest offensive game. But that's about what he was doing last season when he was fully healthy. But I think the big difference for Micah now I think he's better defensively this year than he was last year. And he's only in his fourth game?
Yeah.
Fourth game back, right?
I think so. That sounds right.
And so in theory, he should just keep improving as we go on, get into March, when you need to be playing your best basketball if you want to win a championship. And you brought it up with Will Richard, his last 2 games, 30 and 25 points. Something I noticed a lot, when Walter Clayton and Elijah Martin have like their worst games, those are like always Will Richard's best games.
Yeah.
I mean, look at North Carolina earlier in the season where Will Richard, I think, had 25 or like 24, 25 points again, where Walt and Elijah Martin were having slower games. I think they stepped up at the end, but still. And then you go back to South Carolina, the first meeting, where again, Walt is missing, Elijah Martin's missing. Will Richard steps up, hits the game-winning layup, as well as having a team leading in points. And then the past 2 games, Walter Clayton and Elijah Martin didn't play. Elijah Martin actually played really well against Texas A&M, but Walter Clayton, offensively, shooting-wise specifically, he was definitely having a down game. Yeah. And I mean, you see it. Will Richard goes and puts up 25 points, which is his second high, because I think 30 is his high now. And that 24 he had against South Carolina earlier was his career high. So it's just, he steps up every time when the rest of the team is kind of drowsy in the games.
Yeah, and I think it's because I think we actually might have talked about this last week too. I think part of it is because I think one thing I appreciate about Will Richard is that he's pretty good at picking his spots.
Yep.
Like, I think, as good as Walter Clayton and Elijah Martin are, I think there are times where they just take irresponsible shots. And like, it's hard to get too mad at Clayton for doing it because a lot of times he hits them. But, in a game like last night where he really wasn't, like, Richard just doesn't Richard takes good shot attempts, and because of that,
he had one heat check in the game last night.
And and you know what? If you're 6 of 9 from 3 and 9 of 13 overall, take a heat check, man. Like, by all means, go for it. Like, that's usually my attitude with Clayton. But I appreciate, and I think, like we said it, like when Richard has his off shooting nights, he doesn't go 2 of 12. You know what I mean? He doesn't keep shooting when it's not his night, and he doesn't force bad shots. So I think that allows him to kind of, when they've taken everyone else away, to kind of be the guy that emerges.
Yeah, and even like his game against LSU, he had 0 points. I believe he had a team leading. Yeah, he had 5 assists, which led the team in assists in that game. And it's like, he didn't hurt the team. He only went 0 of 3. So he's not necessarily impacting the team negatively. And, has the 5 assists, has 3 rebounds, has a steal. So even in those bad games for him, it's still doing positive for the team. And it's kind of the same was with Clayton in this game. You had the coach, Todd Golden, talk about it after the game. He was saying, Walt, maybe he has an ineffective night shooting, but defensively and assist-wise, he had 4 assists in this game, a steal, 2 rebounds. Like, he's still doing other things to help out the team and played pretty well defense. I mean, we all played pretty well defense in that night, especially Elijah Martin she shut out Wade Taylor in the first half.
Yeah.
Wade Taylor had 0 points in the first half, I believe. Or he had like 2 or 0 points in the first half.
Correct. All 11 of his points were in the second half. And still held him only to 11 points. One of the best offensive guards in the SEC.
And 4 of the points were from the free throw line. He went 1 of 7 from 3.
Yeah.
I remember he hit the 1-3, which I think is when they cut it to 6 points. And he had like another layup like 2 minutes ago before that in the game. And I had someone say, "Oh, Wade Taylor is starting to heat up. This game's over." Yeah, Wade Taylor went on to score, I think, 2 more points and missed like another 3 3-pointers. So this game was not over.
Yeah. No, I mean, just defensively, this was such a good game. And I think it was fitting that Todd, when they asked him on game day, what's different about this team that's going to allow it to make a deeper run, it is the defense. They don't, there were so many games last year, obviously, including the one that got them sent home in March, where they did everything right on offense and the other team was just even better. And that just has not really, maybe with the exception of like the Kentucky and Missouri games, I guess, hasn't really and I guess Georgia now, but I mean, even Georgia, Florida, I mean, like the Gators were jacked up for a lot of that game offensively, and they got it, they got it right in time to come back. But, I think the way this team defends, I mean, holding them under 40%, shutting down their best player, they can really just beat you in so many different ways.
Yeah, I mean, the fouls in this game are mind-boggling to me.
Yeah.
I mean, that it always happens with Texas A&M, so it's like it's a skill thing. But I feel like you just watch some of these calls they're making and giving them and ones on plays where they just get an open layup.
Yeah.
And then the next drive, I see him push Walter Clayton and no fouls. I mean,
you're absolutely right. I will say, I think like part of it is self-inflicted from the Gators because they just keep jacking threes, like drive to the lane and try to get a call. Like, and I understand like there were situations where it was imbalanced or whatever, but like at the same time, like you got to go get those whistles. Like, don't just be taking threes.
I also feel like Walter Clayton was getting abused in this game.
Oh yeah, Walter Clayton doesn't get fouls called like on him, like against him. You know what I mean? Like you're allowed to foul Walter Clayton in this league for whatever reason.
It's like the opposite of Wade Taylor.
Yeah,
I mean Wade Taylor only had 4 free throws in this game. I don't know how many times he was fouled, but I saw in his last game with like 10 minutes left, he shot 11 free throws, and I think he leads the SEC in free throws. And as a guard, that is pretty wild to think about. Yeah, you're leading the SEC in free throws.
Yeah.
And you also look at Alex Condon. I mean, he went 5 of 5 from 2, but he went 1 of 5 from free throw. He was 0 for 4 with, I think we were up by 10 points, 12. I think we were up 12 points at the end of the game, like the final 2 minutes. And he had just missed his 4th straight. He's about to shoot his 5th. And the guys behind me go, yo, I bet you $5 he makes this one. And the other one's like, oh, that's easy money. He's going to miss. And he made it. Yeah. And they're like cheering or booing. I mean, after last game against Georgia, where he was the only one who could make free throws. Or he went like 8 of 9 or 7 of 8 from free throw from the charity stripe. It's kind of funny how it just flips like that.
I will say, like, that is it. The free throw thing is a little, I'm not like panicking about it. That is a little concerning to me because it hasn't been an issue so far this season. Probably single-handedly cost you the Georgia game. And like, I mean, 11 of 16 last night, like that's fine. That's not awful, but like it has been a strength this year, and it has not been a strength in these last couple games.
And all of those misses, the difference is we had 6 in the Georgia game. We had 6 misses from our guards. In this game, we had none. The 5 misses was 1 from Micah Handglotton, and we had 4 from Alex Condon. I think there's a pretty big difference in that.
That is true. No, that is true, but Condon just gets fouled a lot. Like, we need Condon to be better at the line because he gets those opportunities.
Absolutely. And what Rob is saying here, those were wide open threes. I'm not sure.
Like, I think he's responding to me saying that we should be shooting less threes and driving more. Like that.
Okay. To that. And then Aberdeen and Clayton were getting mugged with no calls. I mean, that's kind of what I was saying. I think they really got to Aberdeen more than Clayton. I mean, Clayton's an experienced player. This is his 3rd year starting, 2nd in the SEC. So he is.
Did he start 2 years at Iona, or is it just 1?
I don't think so. I think he averaged he averaged like 7 points per game 5 points per game his freshman year.
Okay.
So I don't think he started. I can double check that real quick.
It's not that important to the discussion.
Yeah, he averaged 7.3 points in his freshman season, so he may have started. But let's see. Anything else? I mean, Klavzar, he missed his threes, did his free throws, finished the game with 4 points. Free throws literally cost us Kentucky, Mizzou, and UGA. Georgia, yes and no. I mean,
I say 100% against Georgia. Well, yeah, I mean,
I think what costs us more is going down by 26 points in the first 13 minutes.
Yeah, you're right. But in spite of that, if you hit the free throws, you still win. Like, that's kind of where I'm at.
If Elijah
Kentucky, Kentucky, like, you gave up 106 points. Like,
you also say we gave up 106 points. Like, Kentucky had a generational night shooting the ball.
Sure. Okay. I mean, I'm not saying that's on, but I'm saying that's what cost us that game is what I'm saying. I wouldn't say the free throws. Yeah. I mean, even though the free throws cost us an opportunity to win it, like, you can't really ever expect to win a game where you give up 106 points. points.
We did miss 13 free throws against Kentucky.
Yeah, I mean, that hurt. I mean,
Clayton misses
won the
4
game.
free throws.
Yeah, but I'm just saying, like, to me, it's like that's not the biggest issue in a game where you give up 106 points. And you're not going to win. I mean, that's kind of just what happens. I mean, if a team's shooting that well against you, you're probably not going to win. It's like exactly what we saw the other night. But the only reason they had a chance because Georgia only shot 37% in the second half or something like that.
Yeah, I'm just going to say that that Kentucky game, we lose by 6, and Clayton missed 4, and so did Elijah Martin.
That's
just that's tough.
No denying that.
And Condon missed 5. Like, I mean, if we score 110 points, we're so happy we won. And it's like, I mean, we gave up 106, so obviously they're going to be questioning our defense. But when we're at this point and we're looking back on it, then we're perfectly happy knowing that the defense improved.
Well, it's also just, I mean, like, I don't even think Florida's losses have been bad defense. Like, I feel like Florida's losses are just the other team. I mean, Georgia literally could not miss for a 20-minute stretch in that game. I mean, it was just unbelievable.
Yeah. This one as well, against Missouri, Clayton getting fouled on the 3, and he missed 2 free throws. I mean, it's so weird to look at Walter Clayton because he's hit so many clutch shots. I mean, Colorado, he hits a pretty clutch shot that tied it. Wish sent it to overtime. And you look at Kentucky, that did send it to overtime, and he had some threes against them to win it. But he also misses like free throws in clutch situations a lot. Go back to the Virginia game, his first game here. I think he had a very similar situation where he got fouled on a 3-pointer and missed 2 free throws.
I do vaguely remember that.
Now, it's definitely happened. I think it also happened like not that specific, but like I think he missed free throws in the crunch time against Kentucky. I think he started like 7 of 7 from free throws, and then missed like some of his last 4, whatever that number is. All right. Let's see. Any other players? I mean, we kind of just brushed over Thomas Houck having 17 points.
We've come to expect that from Thomas Houck at this point.
Absolutely. And it's like he only had 3 rebounds. That is interesting there.
Yeah.
And 1 assist or 2 assists. Sorry. And what do you think the starting lineup should be? It's a very tough question now.
It is tough. I still think
locked in.
Yeah. I still think you got to go Condon and Chinyelu.
Mm-hmm.
I think there's reasons to like, I think what you pointed that out where Mike is maybe excelling over Chinyelu, but I think what Chinyelu brings to the table offensively is too valuable.
Yeah.
And I think Condon, I mean, you have to have Condon on the court once he's at the point where he's, feels good starting and he's kind of back to 100%. So like, that's kind of where I'm at. Like, I kind of just want to revert back to where they had it, to be honest with you, in spite of all these guys breaking out, because I feel like these guys breaking out function pretty well as guys you bring in as 6th and 7th men and play a lot of minutes.
I think you can also do bait matchup wise. I also think going to Alabama, which we're going to make a prediction here soon, they don't have the skilled bigs like we saw from Texas A&M, where Pharrell Payne was making some pretty tough shots in the paint. Honestly, just a bit too much for him. Where they have Cliff Amorie, who is not that good offensively, like what Payne was or what the bigs for Texas A&M were doing. So I do think it matches more bully ball style with Chinyelu. It's a different type of bully style than we get from A&M, but I do think he works a bit better against Alabama, and I think he's also going to be able to score because I think we're a bit taller. I'm not sure. How tall is Cliff Amorie? I'm looking it up right here. Big Cliff is 6'11". His wingspan is... I mean, I know he was like the leading blocker in the Big Ten when he left Rutgers. Okay. Oh, 7'6" wingspan. Okay, so he's like for matchup perfectly with Chinyelu. That's like exactly what he is. 6'11" and 7'6" wingspan. Well, that's a pretty even matchup, actually. But still, the less skillful bigs for A&M for Alabama was a better matchup for Chinlu than they were for A&M.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, what is this? So Rob has Aberdeen, Clayton, Richard, Condon, Chinlu, and closing Clayton, Marchard, Richard, Hauk, and Condon. I don't know. I think you start Elijah Martin. Your best defender.
I mean, yeah, that's the problem. His defense is too good. I see what you're saying, and I think Aberdeen's a lot of times like outplays him overall, but I just think you need Martin's defense in the backcourt. And I think that's probably where he's going for with having him close. So you have that defense, in crunch time. I kind of get the point there. I mean, I guess in terms of starting, I guess we should probably be probably frame it more as actually like which five get the most minutes versus like which five start the game.
Yeah, I mean, look at Chinlu. He started, but he only got 7 minutes last night against Texas A&M.
Yeah.
Again, I think that's more matchup wise. Less, I mean, I think these are all guys that are good enough to start for us and us be a championship level team.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, I totally agree.
Let's make some picks here for this Alabama game. Florida travels to Tuscaloosa on Wednesday, 7:00. Very exciting game here. Top 10 matchup. I don't think Bama is going to drop outside the top 10. No, because they got a big win earlier in the midweek, didn't they?
Who'd they beat?
Alabama.
Kentucky, right?
That's right. Yeah. Mississippi State.
Oh, Mississippi State.
They've near 40-piece Mississippi State on Tuesday night.
Oh, that's right. That's
11 to 73-point win.
Yeah.
Then on the road at Tennessee, and a heartbreaker for them, Jemai Meshack hits a near half-court three to win it at the buzzer. Oh, man, that was crazy.
And he only got the opportunity because Alabama had the ball and got a 5-second violation when they had a timeout.
Mm-hmm.
They had a timeout. And Nate Oates even said that. Like, he, after the game, said it's my fault. I handled that end of the game poorly. Yeah. It's like, credit to you for owning it. But yeah, you did, because there's just no reason that shot should have even been allowed to happen.
I mean, yeah, absolutely. I mean, Meshack hitting that. Not even Lanier. No. When I first saw it, I was like, I assumed it was Chaz Lanier. Yeah. But then I heard him say Meshack. I mean, I was surprised. But yeah, so Alabama should still be in the AP top 10. We'll probably be 5 or 4. The AP voters usually have a weekend-based weekend bias. Like, they're going to see us beating A&M and be like, okay, maybe they don't drop us, or maybe they just have Houston jump us. So, at worst, probably 5. But where are you going to go with this game?
I think I just honestly haven't been incredibly impressed when I've watched Alabama. There have been moments, but just when I see them play the best teams in the league, they just they looked pretty outclassed against Auburn for most of that game. I mean, they led for a lot of the game yesterday, but couldn't pull away. There's just nothing about them that screams I really don't like this matchup against the Gators. I think it's gonna be tough, and winning on the if this game were in Gainesville, I think I'd be pretty confidently picking Florida. I'm not confidently picking Florida because it's in Tuscaloosa. I think the Gators win, though. I'll say they win 83 to 77 or something like that.
Wow. I mean, I'm looking back at Alabama in conference play. 88 or 86, 88. Okay, 64 against Ole Miss. 102, 103, 80, 88, 90, 85, 103, 85, 98, 96, 111, and 76.
How much did they score on Auburn?
They scored 85 on Auburn.
Okay.
Mark Sears has been playing out of his mind the past couple of games. Against Tennessee last night or yesterday, he had 24. I know when he had crazy against Mississippi State. Let's see. He had 21. Okay, 21 against Mississippi State. He had 30 against Kentucky. Against Missouri, where they gave up 110, he had 35. Mark Sears is playing really good basketball. But you know who else is playing really good basketball? And we just saw him lock down another top guard in the SEC, Elijah Martin. I mean, Rob here, Martin and Clayton are both ball-dominating guards. It's hard to get hot when both are on the court. I think it's hard for the other team to get hot when both are on the court because Elijah Martin's defense is just drenching. I mean, just not getting much room on him. And then you have Will Richard, who is a great combo with him, and Clayton, who's also playing some pretty good defense, as well as bigs who can guard the paint and guard their guards if they have to. It's one of the most funny / awesome things I see us do is when we have our big men on their guards. I don't think we hold them under 80 because it is at Alabama. They're probably going to shoot really well, but I don't think Alabama holds us under 90. I think it's going to be a high-scoring game. I'm also going to take the Gators. I'm going to take the Gators 93-89.
Ooh, okay. Wow, that's a lot of points.
It is. This Alabama offense, they just have so much talent.
I mean, I can. I'm not saying like I can see that happening. That's just if that happens, that's just a lot of points.
I mean, you have Alabama, who's number 3 in offensive efficiency, and us, who are number 4. I mean, the difference is we're number 7 in defensive efficiency, and they're 37. Like they're not horrible defensively, but I also think they might be a bit overrated by some teams having bad shooting nights. I mean, look at it. Missouri put up 110 points on them. Auburn put up 94 on them. I mean, Texas, not the greatest offense, put up 80. And I think Trey Johnson had like 30 that game. Like, players are going off versus Alabama. And if this team is locked in to start this game, I see no reason we shouldn't be able to hang and beat them.
Outside of Kentucky, is the 88 we gave up to Georgia? Is that the most points we've given up outside of the Kentucky game? Have we given up 90 in any other games this year? I think you might be muted again, by the way, Tyler.
Oh my God. Did my whole thing about my whole last statement just like go unsaid?
You were just muted like just now for like whatever you were saying for like 2 seconds.
Okay. That's weird. My mic just okay. All right. So then you just asked, is that 88 that we given up the most we've given up? Missouri 83, Texas 60, 81 to Auburn. So yeah, that 88 is the highest we've given up besides the 100 points we gave up to 106 we gave up to Kentucky.
So Florida hasn't given up 90 in a game except for the one where Kentucky shot 60% at home.
Yes.
So, okay. Interesting. I mean, something's going to give.
Something is going to give. Yeah, I mean, Ken Palm gives us a 49% chance to win it. This game's 50-50. We were just favored at 51% less than a week ago. Yeah, like hear what Rob says. It depends on how the Gators are shooting. And what I was just bringing up, I think before Bryce I was getting muted, was as long as this team is locked in and ready to go for the game, I think we'll be fine. Like the Georgia game, you can tell they came out sloppy. Even going back to South Carolina, the first South Carolina game, we kind of came out sloppy. And the Arkansas game, even going way back into the season. So I think as long as they come out and ready to play, I think we'll win. I think that 4 points is kind of me expecting Bama to hit some tough shots. Or I said 89, right?
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I think that's more me expecting them to hit some tough shots instead of us playing bad defense. I mean, they're a really good offense. So it's like
two, by the way, Rob. I just looked it up too. But there's also an 89 in here, an 88 in here, an 86 and 2 89s in here. Like, so they've gotten close a handful of times, but only twice, and one of them was a loss.
We do let off the gas a lot later in games. Like Wichita State, we could have scored 100 on them easily. Let's see, Arizona State probably could have. North Florida, we scored 99. Or well, that we're talking about. Sorry, we're talking about 90, not 100. We haven't scored 100 yet all season.
We did in the Kentucky game. It was 160.
Oh yeah, we haven't won a game where we scored 100 points. And then real quick, Ole Miss. Quick prediction for it next last home game of the season. Last game of the season.
I mean, it's scary because they're good, and especially if you beat Alabama and you kind of go into that game like riding high. this team has been playing such good basketball at home. I really don't see it. I think if you lose to Alabama, I think they come back into that game really focused to close out the year.
Yep.
And even if they do beat Alabama, like I think they are able to ride that momentum, do a home win over an Ole Miss team that is good, but is really inconsistent. Like they've had some really bad showings in SEC play. So
yeah.
I think if I had to give a score for that one, I'd probably say Florida wins it 88 to 74, something like that.
Yeah, that's about what I'm thinking. Like if we lose, I think we beat them by 20 plus. If we win, I think it's like 10 plus ish area. Although I do see a small chance of them winning. I mean, Ole Miss, they end the season home against Tennessee and at Florida. So they have a pretty big chance. Hey, we're cheering for them to beat Tennessee. If Tennessee loses that game, which is also on Wednesday, then I would say we control our path to a 1 seed.
Probably need a loss from Houston or Tennessee, but yeah, if one of them goes
Tennessee
down,
loses,
I'm walking that out in my mind. I'm like, yeah, if one of them loses, then I'd say Florida probably needs to have like a decently respectable SEC tournament.
I don't think the SEC tournament matters as much. I mean, unless you're saying if Tennessee also wins.
Well, I guess I'm more just saying, like, even if one of them loses, if Florida like gets upset in its first SEC tournament game,
the first game.
That's kind of what I'm saying. Yeah. Well, because I mean, if Florida's going to have the double bye, so or at least
I was about to.
At least should. I guess I shouldn't say like will, but we're
currently the 2 seed. If we beat Alabama, we are secured the 2 seed. If we lose, we should still get the at least 4 seed, but there is the chance that Missouri wins out, which at Oklahoma and against Kentucky is possible.
Probably, maybe even likely that they win both those games.
I mean, especially coming off a heartbreaking loss. Did you see that Vanderbilt game and how that ended?
No, I saw. I didn't see how it ended. I saw that they lost, but not what actually happened.
Vanderbilt held a 3 with 2 seconds left to tie it, and then they were just able to win it in overtime.
Oof.
It was a tough 3 too. Like they played good defense there, and Vanderbilt just is a tough 3 to tie it with 2 seconds to send to OT. So it's like just beat Bama, and we have a double bye, and we're the 2 seed guaranteed. So that's really where I'm at with that. And then with the NCAA tournament, all you can do is win out. And if that's not enough, it's unfortunate. This would be the number 1 or number 2 seeds most seasons in college basketball. We just get the one where you have Auburn with the best resume maybe in college basketball history.
What do they have? 15 quad 1 wins now? 15 or 16 quad 1 wins?
Something like that. I mean,
they had 14. They've added 2 since then. So unless any of their prior quad 1 games got demoted to quad 2, they have 16, which is possible.
Auburn team sheet real quick.
They are 16-2. They are 16-2 in quad 1 games.
And they end it with 2 more quad 1 games left.
It could be 18-2 in quad 1 games would just be absolutely unbelievable.
And it's likely they're favored to do that. Like that's the crazy part.
Those are tough games. I mean, at A&M, Auburn at home, Alabama at home, that is about as tough a close as you're going to get. But I mean, I'd take them in both those games. Definitely Alabama at home.
Yeah.
A&M on the road is interesting.
I mean, A&M now on 4-game losing streak?
Yeah, something like that.
So, I mean, that is kind of a Buzz Williams spot now, but like the team just isn't playing that good of basketball at this point. They're just so limited offensively. And as I was saying, like, you have Auburn, best resume in college basketball history. You have Duke, who is one of the highest graded. They're now above Auburn and KenPom by 2 whole points. Or no, sorry.
Crazy.
Nearly 2 whole. They're a point and a half above Auburn.
Still
at a 39. Can I look up the all-time rankings for highest KenPom grades? Like,
yeah, I mean that's pretty crazy.
The best KenPom. Okay, so the past 10 years. Oh my goodness. Kentucky in 2014, 2015 was a 36.91.
Wait, so they're higher than that Kentucky? Like, there's like multiple teams higher than that Kentucky team?
Yep. And Houston is just a point behind them. And we're, 6 points, but like, that's just wild. I mean, we're maybe it's all the experience coming back. And then, but it's not even that. I mean, Duke has 4 freshmen starting. I do think Duke is a little bit weaker after losing Tyrese Proctor. So,
yeah,
we'll see how they play out in March.
He'll be back. He's supposed to be back for the tournament, though.
I thought it said he was up for the season.
Oh, unless that's an update, because Shire had said like after it that they just thought it was like that he'd be back.
Tyrese Proctor injury status.
Maybe I'm wrong. I might be confusing him with Malik Brown because they had another guy get hurt who is definitely coming back. I don't think Malik Brown's back yet either, but maybe I might be wrong about Proctor. I might have missed something there.
Oh, okay, so no, I also I guess heard something. He would miss Duke's Saturday night contest against Florida State, but could return in the near future. Okay. I must have heard someone else then. Yeah, okay. Duke play is that? I mean, that's what's happening. They're just beating up on bad teams.
I mean, also they have as many quad 1 wins as Florida does. Like they played a tough non-conference.
They did, but resume wise, we're like equal.
Yeah,
they just have the metrics that are insane. Because I mean, sorry, but beating FSU and Miami by 40 points, like it shouldn't make you the highest graded team in Ken Palm history.
Probably not. Probably not, especially when there's a team with 16 quad 1 wins.
Exactly. I mean, Flag, Knipple, Malgoa, they're all good and all, but like 39.09. I mean, the second highest team was Gonzaga, who was like a low 36 as well. They didn't even win the championship, so I wonder what they were before they lost. Because these are after March instead of the season. All quad 1 games aren't the same, but we beat 2 number 1 teams. Yeah. This is like Florida's argument to being a 1 seed. Well, is like, okay.
Duke beat Auburn. Like, Duke beat Auburn too. Like, I see. Okay, no, you're absolutely right. Like, that is true. But like, Duke did beat Auburn as well.
Yeah. I was going to point out for Florida, like, people point out Florida has 6 quad 1 wins now, or 5. But it's like not all quad 1 games.
6 and 4. Okay. Florida 6 and 4. Duke 6 and 3.
All quad 1 games aren't the same. Sorry, but you bring that up, like Florida's wins, quad 1 wins. Number 12 Texas A&M, number 1 Auburn, number 6 Tennessee, and maybe Tennessee's at 5 right now. Maybe 5. Yeah, I think 5. Yeah, and Alabama was 6. I'm talking about AP poll, just keeping it simple. Okay.
They're also 5 in the net.
Okay, so like our quad 1 wins are going to be crazy quad 1 wins against top 15, top 10, top 1, top 5 level teams.
Well, 2 of them are Arkansas and North Carolina, but yeah, outside of those, the rest of them are very good. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, and I mean, you look at Georgia, who's now on fire, it seems, just blew out Texas, who's 33 in the net now. Georgia's 33 in the net. Yeah. They could have a quad 1 win, so
very close. Yeah, that if Georgia keeps winning, there's a very good chance that home win becomes quad 1, which 30-point home quad 1 win's pretty nice. Hopefully that happens.
Yeah, it absolutely is. Georgia's 33 right now in the net.
Yeah,
just above the Tritons of San Diego. Shout out again, they're so good.
They're looking good. They're like in good at large position from what I'm reading.
Oh yeah, I'm pretty sure they are like pretty good. And then what is this here? LSU's 82 in the net. Like we have like 2 or 3 games that are a couple spots away from being quad 1 that would put you right there with like Tennessee's and Alabama, who most people have right above us. I've seen some people that have us above Tennessee or Bama. It's really close right now. So all we can do is win and hope that it's enough for